Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the Flannel Channel. I'm Philip. I'm glad you're here. This is not the video that I had planned originally, but kind of a making the best of a crummy situation sort of video. I had about an hour's worth of content filmed from the Atlanta Motor Speedway at the Stars, Stripes, and White Lines truck show, where I was a guest judge for the national championship. Well, unfortunately, when I went to edit yesterday, that entire file is shot. I can't use it at all. And so instead of focusing on what I can't do and the frustrations I was having with editing, I'm just gonna have to go with plan B and tell you more about my trip with some still photos mixed in instead of actually showing you the footage that I filmed for it. So yeah, I hate putting out subpar content, but I'm just trying to make do with what I got to work with. So anyway, I hope you'll stick with me. I'm gonna try and make it as interesting as I possibly can. I'm gonna tell you about my experience as a judge at a truck show. It's my first time ever doing that. It was a fantastic experience. I loved it. And I'm also gonna maybe allude to some future videos that I'm gonna do where I'm gonna maybe try and give you guys some tips and tricks if you're gonna be entering a truck or a car or a boat, motorcycle, things like that into a competition, whether you get judged or not. I'm gonna help you show your vehicle and give you some ideas and things to think about and things to look at and things to help you so that you can put on the best display that you possibly can when you're showing your semi or your car or hot rod, whatever you're showing. So anyway, let's just jump into it. I'm gonna maybe find a comfy spot to sit down, set up the camera, and I'll tell you about my experience, and I'm going to be flashing a whole bunch of still photos up that I took on the trip and explain to you a little bit about what the truck show life is behind the scenes, and I'm going to give you guys some inside look at that. So should be fun. Stick around. Here we go. So I should probably start at the beginning of the story. I have known Evan Steger, the metal polisher, for many, many years. I love the guy to death. He's an awesome brother. And he approached me at Mid-America Trucking Show in March last year and said, Philip, I'm looking for judges for the national championship at Stars, Stripes, and White Lines truck show in Atlanta. Would you be willing to be a judge? I'm like, really, dude, me? He's like, yes, absolutely. You'd be perfect for it. I'm like, well, okay, if you're sure. He's like, just get there and I'll take care of you. I'll, get you a place to stay. We'll feed you. We got, transportation, all that stuff taken care of. Just get there. I'm like, okay, you got it, man. Thank you. This is a huge opportunity, huge, honor. And so I had really only ever been to one other NASCAR track before, but the idea of having a truck show at a track, I thought was really, really a neat idea. And I saw from social media what they did last year. If you guys have seen some of these videos, I mean, they had millions and millions of views on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, of Don Wood, who won the championship last year, going around the Atlanta Motor Speedway, truck and trailer, doing 3 digits. And it was amazing. So I was like, yeah, this sounds like an incredible experience to be able to not only go to a show that's at a NASCAR track, but also be asked to be one of the judges in this class. And so I'll dive into that a little bit more, but yeah, incredible. So I was thrilled to be a part of this. And this year, it sure looked like it was going to be bigger, and it was. I'll put up some stats for you guys about how huge this truck show has gotten just in 1 year. 12 months time, it's tripled in size, the truck count, the attendance, all that stuff. And so next year is going to be even bigger. It's going to be incredible. So I got some footage from that, and I did a social media thing on Instagram where I was walking on. I went live for about an hour. That went really, really well. But yeah, after flying into Atlanta and the way that the Bennett family of companies and some of their drivers were taking care of us, and the folks that run the track at Echo Park Speedway, incredible people. The folks that put on the Stars, Stripes, and White Lines show were awesome to work with. Super, super cool people. And this was a semi-truck show. It was Jeeps, it was motorcycles. And Bennett decided that they're gonna do like kind of a fundraiser. And so they had a golf ball drop, they had an auction, all kinds of things. And the proceeds from all of that was gonna go to the Wreaths Across America, which is really a neat organization that makes sure that at Christmas time, all the wreaths at the Arlington National Cemetery get wreaths put on them for Christmas. Great cause. So, yeah, it was one of those things that I've felt strongly for quite a while, that I think every truck show should kind of have a thing. Like, for example, the Big Iron Classic, that's my home show right here in Casson, Minnesota, not far from me. And the Casson show has a truck pull. And like the 10-4 Magazine Rodeo down in California, well, that's a rodeo where the drivers are, you know, doing special events like backing and loading and unloading and things like that. And you get down to Nacogdoches and you go out to Wilkins and you go to, you know, 75 Chrome, they'll have their own style and their own thing that makes them unique and different from other shows. So I thought having the Star Stripes and White Lines truck show at a NASCAR track is a great idea, because the top 3 trucks in every class get to get out on the track, and then they sell track time to whoever wants to get out there on the track and put laps on, and you have to stay behind the lap car. But we get full-size actual semis out there, bobtail and trailer, and they're out there doing laps. And it's so cool. And to be a part of that and to be able to capture some of that on camera and to be in the truck and around the trucks and talking to the drivers and stuff like that, really, really fun experience. So let's dive into what was it like judging a show, and what's involved in something like that, because this was the first time for me. I hadn't been a part of a judged truck show before. Most of the stuff that I have attended to or written for the magazine about and things like that are non-judge shows, or they'll do People's Choice, or they'll do competitors choosing the winner and things like that. But to be a part of an event where you have judges that are supposed to be objective and step in with a list of rules that not only the competitors have to follow, but a list of rules that the judges have to follow as well, and checklists of what we're looking at. That was super interesting. And I'll say from the very beginning that, number one, I had friends that were judges and I had friends that were competitors in this. I don't have a horse in the race, though, myself personally. I don't have any of my work, artwork. I don't have any of my polishing. I don't have any skin in the game on something like this other than friendships. And I have friends all throughout this entire event. But I was able to stay objective because I'm not going to give my buddies and my friends special treatment. I'm going to be just as critical of their builds and their trucks as anybody else. And I think the scoring system and the way that Evan has set this truck show up definitely is a testament to how much work and planning he's put into this. And it helps the competitors and it helps the judges this way. And one of the things that he's done that's super smart is he's keeping who the judges are a little bit of a separation. He's keeping our names specifically off the judges' forms, and we just are assigned numbers. And so when the competitors get their sheets back of how judging went and the things that we found that were violations or things that we found that they got docked on, that helps them to know next year how to be even better prepared and how to get their trucks ready to go for this show. And it helps protect us as judges, so that way nobody's coming up to us and saying, hey, how come you wrote this or you took a picture of that? And it creates a barrier there that is better for everybody involved, because emotions definitely do run high when it comes to a judged event like this. They're bound to, you know? So one of the things that I think helps a lot being a judge is that the career that I have as a mechanic, it automatically helps me know how to be critical of a vehicle in a way that isn't personal. It's a way for me to have a list of things that I'm looking for, and having a point system where things get docked. If you spot them, well, that takes a lot of the guesswork out, and I'm able to say, hey, that might not be the way I would design that, or the colors that I would choose, or I wouldn't do it that way, but I still respect it because I've been a hot rodder and a builder for quite a while. I've been writing for the magazine for a number of years now, and so to have a critical eye as a mechanic also, I think, is a huge advantage, and I can have an easier time, more than other people might, of being able to say, hey, like, it's not just do I like it or not, it's does it meet these criteria. And so Evan did a great job of writing out for us what things we're supposed to be looking for in each category. So he might have a category of metalwork, and we're looking at the polish, and we're looking at the creativity that went into the design of maybe light bars or tank fillers, or under cab light panels. If things are custom made for the truck, then it gets bonus points versus something being ordered out of a catalog or off of a shelf. And so it's one of those things that we're looking at fit and finish, we're looking at cleanliness, we're looking at preparation, we're looking at, say, I'll give an example of wheels and tires, that with the different classes, again, some classes are going to pay way more attention to having the letters of the tire lined up with the valve stem, and then having the valve stem correctly positioned on the truck so that the valve stem is at, say, 6 o'clock and the brand of the tire is at 12 o'clock on the tire, all the way around the entire truck, inside and outside. And that's not a requirement, but if they did it, they put the extra work in, they get extra points for that. And if the inside duals are polished as well as the outside duals, and the inside holes of the wheels are polished, they get bonus points for that. And so things like that definitely make a difference when you're judging a truck show, or boats or cars or motorcycles, anything like that. When you see the extra effort that someone has put into their display, and they were there maybe an extra day earlier, or hours and hours and hours of prep work put into it. And there's rules for how long they can be detailing. And when midnight comes around and they say, hey, rags down, no more wiping, no more polishing, and maybe it rains that night, well, the great equalizer is the rain and the dew, or the bugs, or whatever it is. The weather is something that everybody has to contend with, and so it keeps it fair. And we don't want anybody to get an unfair advantage, but the people that put the extra work in get the bonus. So I'm starting to rabbit trail a little bit. I'm going to try and stay on track here, but we were dealing with 4 different classes of truck at the National Championship. We were dealing with working class bobtail, working class combo, that's truck and trailer, limited mileage bobtail, and limited mileage combo. Now, my particular class that I was a judge in was working class combo, and I really enjoy that because I showed a working class truck when I was trucking for 5 years, and so I have an appreciation for what it takes to show a truck that is out there earning a living and putting a lot of miles on every single week. And so you're going to let some things slide that you wouldn't let slide on a limited mileage truck. And that really only makes sense. When we're talking about limited mileage, they can be basically a brand new truck, and it doesn't have to have that many miles on it in order to meet the qualifications. It can be basically a brand new build, and it can be trailered in to the show and staged and put on flooring, and it can have things that are roped off that aren't allowed to be touched. We as judges were allowed to put one knee down on the ground, and we could reach in anywhere we can touch on the truck. We can reach inside and we can be looking for dirt or grease or things like that and looking underneath. And we were definitely told to be critical of it. And if you see things, take a photo of it, because that's evidence, and we can discuss this amongst the other judges. In the working class, there was 3 judges, and working class bobtail had 3 judges, working class combo had 3 judges, and then when it went to the limited class, they had 5 judges for each of those, for bobtails and combo. And the point system is a little bit different for the limited mileage guys. They have a broader scale of, I think, up to 20 points. And when we're talking about the working class trucks, we could go up to 10 points. So to me, that made things a little bit simpler. I liked it that way. Again, because I've showed a working class truck before, that definitely helped me. And I have been a mechanic long enough, also a truck mechanic, that I was doing DOT inspections on trucks. And so you have to have that mentality as a judge of looking for violations. Now, I'm not talking about like, hey, if I see a wire that's rubbed through or a hose rubbed through or things like that, that I'm going to issue a fix-it ticket kind of thing. It's not like I'm a state officer at a scale or anything like that. But when I'm doing an inspection to sticker a truck for its annual inspection, it's the same kind of critical eye that we're looking at for judging. And we're looking for paint that's flaked off. We're looking for overspray. We're looking for grease in areas that should be cleaned. We're looking for things that aren't polished or aren't painted when they ought to be. We're looking for, you know, are all the zip ties and the hose clamps, are they clocked the same so that there's a uniformity to it? And things like that might sound really, really nitpicky to the average person, and it is. But when you get to this level of showing a truck, even if it's a working class truck, those things matter. And so some people might think it's completely unnecessary and silly to put tire dressing on the inside duals and to pick all the rocks out of your tread. But at this level of the national championship, I mean, the #1 truck is earned the title world's most beautiful truck. And the winner of that class this year, again, for the 2nd year in a row, was Don Wood in the limited mileage combo. So congratulations, Don. And to be able to do it twice is pretty amazing. But it takes a level that is willing to go above and beyond and to spend a lot of effort and a lot of hours getting ready for that. And so we take that into account when we're judging it. And so if somebody's showing up and all they wanted to do the night before is drink beer and listen to music, and they didn't even bother to wipe down the inside of the frame, a bunch of their chassis work is filthy. They didn't put dressing on the inside of the duals, maybe open the hood, and they didn't spend any time detailing under the hood. The insulation's fallen down, there's overspray on stuff, there's bugs in the radiator. All those things are violations that I maybe shouldn't use the word violation, but those are points against you when you're showing a truck. And so if you haven't put the effort in to taking a brush and just getting all the bugs out of the fins of your radiator and your condenser, well, the guy that did take the time to do that, he gets bumped up a couple points and you get knocked down a couple points, and that keeps it fair. So what we do with judging is we combine the scores of the 3 judges together, and then that averages out. And the competition this year was actually really, really strong competition, and many of the top 3, top 5 in every class were within a point or 2 sometimes. And so yeah, every little bit makes a difference. Every little bit helps. I'm thinking that I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna write a script for tips and tricks on how you can show better when you are preparing a vehicle. And so I think that would be a fun video to do, and I promise I'll do a better job of getting photos for you guys and maybe some demonstration photos on how to polish, how to dress it, how to stage a wheel and get everything set up for your display. And there's things called coining wheels that is different than, you know, a different style of staging your tires and your wheels when you mount them and when they're actually bolted onto the truck and getting them spun correctly. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and it would be fun to do a collaboration video, maybe with Evan Steger or one of these guys, to help you guys if you know that you're going to be invited to a competition like this, that it'll maybe make you bring some hardware home and bring a trophy home whenever you go to a truck show or a car show or things like that. Every single show is going to be different across the country. Some spots have you parking grass, some it's really, really dusty, and that's just the nature of it. Other ones, you're going to be setting up your display and your truck is going to be indoors, and so that completely changes how you would prep things, and you might get a full day to get everything ready on your display. Maybe you're parked on carpet and you have to make sure that you don't have any oil drips and things like that. I mean, we're talking great big diesel engines, and oil drips and spots, unfortunately, are just kind of part of life on a lot of engines. So if you don't have a single engine oil leak or coolant leak or differential or transmission or anything like that that's going to leave a mark or a drip, that's pretty impressive, honestly. And that might be true for limited mileage guys, but those of us that are working trucks, well, we have to put our vehicles in some really, really yucky spots. I mean, I've seen some of these trucks that were at this show, and I'm not joking, I'm not exaggerating at all. I've seen them buried up to the axles in mud. Yeah, so I don't want to rabbit trail too much and start getting into the weeds on things that aren't really that important or necessary to the story so much. But I will say I was very, very impressed with the professionalism and with the ability of all the judges in every single class that was there, because I got to sit in with every one of the judges' meetings. I wouldn't have had to, but I just wanted to learn about how this was done for more than just my group. And so to be able to listen in and hear their conversations and the kind of things that they were looking for, the kind of things that they were paying attention to, that they were noticing on these different trucks, that helped me know, like, okay, so I was on the right path here, or maybe I need to think about that a little bit differently from now on. And I was just so thankful that Evan specifically has been the guy that puts so much work and effort into making this competition really, really fair and very upfront, so that there's no favoritism given to somebody just because they spend a lot of money on something. It's so much more about the creativity, the planning, the execution, than it is somebody who's just using their credit card and buying a whole bunch of parts or paying somebody else to have them do all of it. One of the things that I thought was really, really neat about the way that this was set up is he told every one of the owners of these trucks before judging was to begin that they needed to have a prepared speech of 10 minutes where the driver would take us judges around the truck, and the driver or the owner would explain different things about the truck, of what made it different, what made it unique, and they were able to point things out to us and help us as judges be able to see and spot the things that were a little bit above maybe their competition, and things that made their truck unique, and maybe point out some things that were custom, or maybe something was broken or missing or different. And that's okay, especially in the working class, because that helps us as judges. Like, hey, we noticed that this was not the same color as the other ones. It's like, well, it's because the paint isn't available anymore. We had to have this custom matched and we got it as close as we could, but the paint isn't made anymore. It's not available or whatever. I know for a fact that there was a couple of things that just in the final hours of being detailed and prepped for the show, there was a truck that got scratched. And so the team had to think quick and they covered it up with a sticker and tried to make it, tried to hide it a little bit and make it look better. But the driver was able to point that out to the judges and they didn't get docked anything for that because it just happened hours before that. And there's nothing that the team could have done about it. So that maybe is an example of how a well thought out and well prepared driver can earn extra points just by practicing and having their display in their truck looking really good, but also presenting it really, really well. And so every single owner had to be ready with questions. They had to be ready with having their time be spot on, because if they didn't fill the entire 10 minutes of their speech, well, they got docked points for that. And so they could have another team member on their crew follow them around and tell them when 30 seconds left, and you want to get as close to that 10 minutes as you possibly can. And yeah, it's true that not everybody filled the entire 10 minutes. Some people went a little bit over and they got docked for that too. But I was impressed with a couple of the guys that you could tell worked really, really hard at being presentable, introducing themselves, and looking at you in the eye, and were really there to try and make the best face for our trucking industry that they possibly could. Everybody was dressed well. They all matched. It had a theme, and all those things are in the rules that we're looking for. And so the teams knew to be thinking about that. The teams knew, hey, be prepared, because this is what our judges are looking for. This is how this truck show works. And maybe I should explain a little bit also that at the Star Stripes and White Lines Truck Show, anybody is available, or anybody's invited. Anybody can show their truck there in the wash and park part of the show. And the area that was set aside just for the judged section of the show, that is by invitation only. And the guys that were invited because they were handed a passport, and if they were able to go to these different truck shows in different parts of the country, they would get a stamp on their passport to show, I was at that event. I was at that event. And these trucks have to compete in those other truck shows in order to earn the right to be at the national championship. So I hope that description maybe makes it clear, but at the Star Stripes and White Lines Truck Show, anybody can go on the track. Anybody can show up with their truck. Doesn't matter the year. It doesn't matter the make. It doesn't matter how many miles are on it. You can show your truck, and you can show up filthy. You can get washed there. You can get polished there, and you can park, and you can be a part of it for the entire weekend, and you can enjoy showing your truck at the Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta. I think that's an amazing thing. And you can take your truck out on the track, which is super, super cool. If you would like to be a part of the judged section, well, follow along with some of these other teams that prepared for this for months and months and months in advance, sometimes a full year getting ready for this event. And so practicing the speech is a huge, huge part of that, and knowing what to point out and what to talk about. And if something isn't correct on your build, point that out and acknowledge it. Not that you need to point out all the different things that you missed or that you didn't have time for, but it's better to acknowledge something that might be blaringly obvious than to hope that the judges don't catch it, because I'm pretty sure the judges are going to catch it. You might try and pull one over on the judges, but that's pretty rare. So one of the things that was really helpful to me is in our judging, we would try our absolute best to begin everybody at a 10 And if we saw something that like, ooh, no, missed that. Oh, like that's still dirty underneath. Oh, I got some, got some flaking or chipping over here. Well, again, it depends on what class. Rock chips are not a big deal in the working class, but bug guts are. So it should be clean. But if you have some sandblasting or some rock chips and things like that, that's allowable in the working class trucks. Now, it can't be completely thrashed. If it's something that needs to be repolished or repainted, well, in the working class, that should be taken care of. But you're not going to get docked for rock chips. In the limited mileage class, yes, you would be. And so, once again, it depends what the rules are and what the judges are told to be looking for. We are, again, not there to be necessarily looking for DOT violations, but if we spot some, and honestly, there was a couple of times that somebody spotted something and go, you know what? You might not want to go through a scale or something like that because you might get the attention of an officer and you could get dinged for something like that. So again, the same kind of thing applies when you're getting ready to judge. You know you're going to be having some critical eyes on it, but that's our job, and do your absolute best to try and keep your emotions out of it and just try and make something as objectively as good as you possibly can. Now, there's always touch-ups that need to happen. There's always, things that you run out of time to do. But if you can do your best to get an overall look at it and get some people to help you spot stuff that you might be missing, you might be so used to looking at it that's dirty or filthy or unpainted, and you just don't even think about it anymore because it's not on your mind. Well, that can definitely be a help when it's time to get ready for a show. But anyway, I should probably end this video here. I could keep talking and rambling on about it, but I don't want to take too much time about things that aren't interesting, and I'm going to save some of that stuff for a different video that can hopefully be helpful for you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully the videos and the photos that you would find here on my channel or other places, you're going to find some social media stuff that's out there that is from the Star Stripes and White Lines National Championship, and I hope you check that out. I hope to see you there next year. It's going to be an amazing time, and it's a good chance it's going to be 3 times bigger than this last year's was. Incredible. So I need to get writing the article for LargeCar Magazine about it, and again, thank you guys for supporting the channel. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace and grease.